Have you ever made a small decision that completely changed your life? Maybe you smiled at a stranger, offered a helping hand, or gave someone hope when they needed it most. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness creates a story no one could ever imagine. Today's story begins with a little boy, one empty wallet, and the very last pie sitting in a bakery window. What happened next would forever change two hearts that had almost forgotten how to believe in love again. Stay with me until the end, because this isn't just a story about kindness. It's about second chances, unexpected love, and how one simple gift can open the door to a beautiful future. Before we begin, if you enjoy heartwarming stories that restore your faith in humanity, please subscribe to Kindness Story, like this video, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories that remind the world kindness still exists. The morning had started like every other day for Ethan. He unlocked the doors of his small neighborhood bakery just before sunrise. The smell of fresh bread filled the quiet street while the first rays of sunlight warmed the windows. Business wasn't easy. Large chain stores had opened nearby, and every month Ethan wondered if he could keep the bakery alive. Still, he believed people needed more than bread. They needed kindness. His grandmother had once told him, "Never let someone leave your shop feeling smaller than when they walked in." Those words stayed with him every day. Late one rainy afternoon, business had almost ended. Only one homemade apple pie remained on the shelf. Ethan smiled to himself. If no one bought it, he would take it home for dinner. Just then, the bell above the door rang. A woman wearing a worn-out blue coat stepped inside, holding the hand of a little boy no older than 7. Their shoes were soaked from the rain. The boy stared at the pie with wide eyes. "Mom," he whispered softly, "that's the one." The woman smiled sadly. She walked to the counter. "How much is the apple pie?" she asked. Ethan told her the price. She quietly opened her wallet. There were only a few coins. Her face turned red with embarrassment. Before she could speak, the little boy looked up at Ethan with innocent eyes. "Can I pay tomorrow?" The bakery became completely silent. Ethan looked at the child. There wasn't any trick or dishonesty in his voice. Only hope. He smiled. "You know what?" Ethan said. "This pie has already been paid for." The woman looked confused. "It has?" "Yes," Ethan replied warmly. Someone wanted the last pie to go to the family who needed it most. The little boy's face lit up brighter than Christmas morning. "Really? Really?" The boy hugged the warm pie carefully against his chest as though it were treasure. The woman fought back tears. "I don't know how to thank you." "You already did," Ethan answered. "Take care of each other." As they left, Ethan watched them disappear into the rain. He never expected to see them again. The next afternoon, the bakery door opened once more. The same little boy rushed inside carrying a small jar filled with coins. "I came back," he announced proudly. Ethan laughed. "You didn't have to." "But I promised." The boy carefully counted every coin on the counter. It wasn't enough. Not even close. Ethan pushed the coins back. "I told you yesterday." The pie was already paid for. "But promises matter," the boy said. Ethan smiled and accepted only one shiny quarter. "This is enough." The little boy grinned. His mother finally spoke. "My name is Grace." "I'm Ethan." She hesitated before saying something that surprised him. "I recently lost my husband." The words hung quietly between them. "My son hasn't smiled much since then. Yesterday was the first time I heard him laugh in months." Ethan didn't know what to say. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. Over the following weeks, Grace and her son visited the bakery often. Sometimes they bought a cookie. Sometimes only a cup of coffee. Sometimes they simply sat by the window talking while Ethan worked. Slowly, laughter returned. The little boy loved helping arrange muffins in the display case before school. Customers noticed. Many said the bakery felt warmer than anywhere else in town. One afternoon, a regular customer asked Ethan why he always looked happier lately. He smiled toward Grace and her son. "I've been reminded that kindness comes back in ways you never expect." Business slowly improved. People began sharing stories online about the little bakery where everyone felt welcome. Customers traveled across town just to visit. Some secretly paid for meals for strangers. Others left generous tips for struggling families. A kindness wall appeared where people could buy bread or pastries in advance for anyone in need. The movement grew. Months later, Grace found a new job at the local library. Life wasn't perfect, but hope had returned. One evening, after closing the bakery, Ethan and Grace sat outside watching the sunset while her son chased fireflies nearby. Grace smiled quietly. "I've wanted to tell you something." Ethan looked at her. She laughed nervously. "It sounds strange." "You can tell me." She took a deep breath. "The first day you gave us that pie, I thought you were simply being generous." She paused. "But every visit after that showed me who you really are." She looked into his eyes. "I started wanting you in my life." Ethan felt his heart stop for a moment. Not because he was surprised. Because he had been hoping to hear those words for weeks. He reached for her hand. "I've been hoping you'd say that." Nearby, her son looked over and smiled. "I knew it," he shouted. They all laughed together. A year later, the bakery celebrated its busiest Thanksgiving ever. Families gathered around long tables. Neighbors shared meals. Children decorated cookies. No one ate alone. Above the counter hung a small wooden sign. It read, "Kindness is always fresh here." Every customer who asked about the sign heard the story of one little boy who asked, "Can I pay tomorrow?" Most left with tears in their eyes. Many stayed to help someone else. Because kindness is contagious. Years later, when people asked Ethan what saved his bakery, he never talked about advertising or business plans. He simply smiled. It was one free pie. Sometimes the greatest gifts aren't measured by money. They're measured by hope. One kind decision can heal a broken heart, rebuild a family, inspire an entire community, and even lead two lonely people to find love again. If this story touched your heart, remember that someone around you may be carrying burdens you cannot see. A smile, a warm meal, a kind word, or a helping hand may become the turning point in their life. And just like Ethan discovered, kindness has a beautiful way of finding its way back to the person who gives it. Until next time, keep believing in goodness, keep choosing compassion, and keep spreading kindness wherever you go.